Hey, I dip, I fish. I'm dipping fishing.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about, all three of us, we're going to talk about our first experiences dipping. And first of all, this is my brother's girlfriend, Elise.
Hi.
And this is my brother. And so my first time dipping, I had been grounded for a month during the summer. So I got really bored and just started stealing my brother's electric cigarette. And eventually, over time, I got bored with that too. So he had this old tin of Skull Mint just laying out in his room. So I would bum dips from him out of that, and I would bum a dip and another dip and another dip and another dip, and then pretty soon it was almost gone.
Wait a minute. That's what the fuck happened to that. Little bitch.
Yeah.
When this camera's off, I'm kicking your ass.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what happened to that. And I don't remember if I liked it a lot or not. Obviously, I think I did like it because I'm still doing it. I do remember how lightheaded I got from all the nicotine at once, and I remember my throat being really, really dry. But yeah, other than that, I think it was pretty normal. And now, Elise's turn.
The first time I dipped, it was probably a couple months ago. I was sitting in Michael's room, and we were just hanging out, and I was getting kind of crabby and kind of snippy because I hadn't been able to smoke hookah for a while because it got cold and we couldn't do it outside anymore. And he's like, God, why are you so crabby? And I was like, I think I'm just making out because I haven't had any nicotine for a while. And he's like, well, I do have this tin of dip. And I was like, oh, that's so gross because I always hated when Michael would do it. And he's like, well, you should just try some. Just try some. And I was like, no, that's gross. But then eventually he got me to do a small dip. And I was like, oh. Like, I didn't really like it at first. But then I liked the nicotine rush, so I kept doing it. And then eventually I started doing pouches. And then I switched over to Grizzly Mint Straight. And that's pretty much what I'm doing now.
Michael.
Fuck is with your introductions, man?
I'm sorry, bro. Alright, you go now.
First time I ever dipped. God damn, that was a fucking while ago. I remember I was like 15 or 16 back in high school, and I was sitting in class or whatever, and we were all about to head down to the computer room to do some fucking project or whatever. I don't remember. I was never too good in high school. We were walking down the hallway, and my buddy was chewing, and he was like, you want a dip? And I was like, I've never tried it before. And he was like, oh, give it a shot, man. It's a great way to get your nicotine while you're in school. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? So I took a little dip from him, and I was sitting in the computer room, and I was like, okay, well, this works and all, I can get nicotine in school, but where the fuck am I going to spit? And I kept sitting there, and it was about 20 minutes. I had this huge mouthful of spit, and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? And finally, it just like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I finally accidentally swallowed an entire mouthful of spit. It was the most terrible experience I'd ever had, and I didn't touch the stuff for like 2 years until I was working at Cub. And I used to push carts back at Cub, and god damn, that fucking sucked. Excuse me. And I remember back at the time, we were only 17, me and the guys that I would work with. And at Cub, they have a strict rule that you cannot use any tobacco on their property while you're on the clock. Otherwise, you get immediately fired if you're under 18. Well, what we would do when we were pushing carts is instead of smoking, we would dip out in the parking lot because we could get away with it, and we would just spit while we're pushing carts. So I eventually got back into it because one of the guys I was working with, John, got me to try it, and it worked out, and it was a pretty good idea and everything, and that's pretty much how I started dipping.
Alright.
Good times.
And so I've noticed this new thing about mud jugs, and they're pretty cool. But it's $30 to order one online, and I think it's way better if you can go into your garage and for free you can get a 5-gallon mud bucket.
Dude, don't slosh that shit around, because if any of it gets on me, I'm kicking your ass.
So yeah, that's all of our experiences and the mud jug, the mud bucket.
Yeah.
So yeah, see you guys next
Think
time.
like a redneck, damn it.